Good morning, gardening friends. It's 7:30, Sunday, October 8th, at about 7:30 in the morning. And it is gorgeous outside. It is 53. First cool night we've had. I had to locate my long pants. I've been wearing shorts for so long. In any event, I'm just sitting back here. I put the cushions out. It is extremely dry. I'm in the shade, although I'll say it, under the angel's trumpet. At this time of the year, the entire back deck starts to be in shade because it's a north-facing deck. Oh, goodness. I'm running slow today. Let me get a sip of coffee. We did quite a lot of work around in the yard this week. One of the things that we did was trim up this crepe myrtle a little. If left unto its own, when you pollard them like that, they just have a flush of growth at the top. And some of them bend down and it becomes weeping, and I don't like the weeping look. So we got rid of all of the weepy branches. I've got to clean up my roses. The bananas are still doing well. No signs of any bananas themselves, actual fruit. Typically you need a couple of years with no frost in order to have fruit on a banana. I would say this one now is, I'm 6 foot tall. I'd say this is easily about 20 foot tall now. Well, at least 15. My lettuce is doing well. I am harvesting it when I make my BLT sandwiches. Oh, I did get a flat of red snapdragons for the front porch, or front yard, I should say. I'll put them outside the fence like I did last year, and they'll last through to the spring. So let's go take a walk. I haven't really been out and about yet this morning, so I don't know what we'll find. Toad lilies are still in bloom, the little ones. I did lose my hose reel box. I'm debating whether to bother getting another one or not, because I got this really lightweight hose. It's not that difficult to lift. It collapses flat if you let the pressure off it. I think it's called 0G. I highly recommend them. They're very light. Expensive, but very light. My lady palm is doing well. You can see the white angel's trumpet is about to open. It'll probably open in the next couple of nights. They do tend to open at night. And there is my new ladyfinger palm, or lady palm, I should say. The Fatsias don't seem to have any buds yet, but they usually do bloom around this time. Here you can see the datura has really taken off. It's got all kinds of blooms. And I'm letting the dead stay on because hopefully they'll make seed pods and they'll reseed themselves like that one was. And this angel's trumpet is so heavy now with flowers that it's starting to bend over. And my pecan is actually looking pretty nice. Ponytail palm in the pot. It did fine this summer, did not burn. It's a good thing about ponytail palms, you can put them out. That spent the last 2 years in a very dimly lit living room. A lot of new growth on the cycads back here. And this is what we did this week. We cleaned out the dead on this holly. I'm kind of letting it stay for a while. I mean, it looks terrible, but I'm undecided whether to take it all the way to the ground or just take it halfway. And I will probably, I'm guessing, or I'm thinking, probably taking it halfway would be the thing to do. See how it recovers, because you can always cut it farther down. You can't put it back once you take it out. But I can't leave it like this. It looks too nasty. It will recover if left unto its own, but it would probably take quite a few years for it to do that. I did have to get new, what are they called? Skyrocket, I think is there. No, that's a different plant. I think it's just called Sky Pencil. They're a type of holly. I had two there, and they just, for some reason, died this summer. Or 3/4 of them died. So, again, rather than wait, I figured just buy new. I've got a pile forming next to the garage there this next week. Next Friday is big trash pickup. That's the reason why I didn't cut the holly down, is whatever I do to one holly, I will do to this one as well. And it's just a lot of waste to have to double carry. Better to wait till next week and then just put it out at the street once and they'll come and pick it up. These bananas have done exceedingly well here. They're the short ones. I'm not up on names of bananas or types of bananas, but I was a little disappointed in them, but because they don't get tall. However, I think they're just the right size for that particular spot. And this knockout rose, Sunny, is definitely dead. Good news is I've got one on order, and it should be here next Thursday, or this Thursday. So hopefully by the next video I'll have a new Sunny knockout rose. Back in here, not much has changed. I do have a bunch of new buds, or a bunch of buds, on my original toad lilies. They're not opened yet, but you can see they've set bud. I did plant the pansies, or I don't remember if I had them last week or not, but I bought a dozen pansies and planted them here amongst the marigolds and daylilies. For some reason this year, these daylilies have really taken off. And they're the wild type that I got from up north. They just grow along the sides of the road. And in any event, I'd like them to take over that whole bed, and it looks like they may do that. Here you can see my succulent garden. It's finally blooming. It looks a little the worse for wear. Of course, the birds are responsible for taking out this small sedum. I do apologize. I've apparently been mispronouncing it, sedum, and I looked it up on multiple sites. And apparently the general consensus is sedum. It just so happened when I originally looked it up, I found the one YouTube reference that said sedum. So something's been visiting the water bowl because there's dirt inside there. These satsumas haven't started changing yet, but I have maybe a dozen or so on the tree. You can see how nicely that's grown up the stick. I had planted some pansies in these little pots last week, the red, and sort of redid this. I got rid of the sweet potato vine and put in these little chrysanthemums. Whew. That satsuma tree is bending low. I guess it's the weight of the fruit. Here you can see I did work here. I cut back the coleus. I did finally take my cuttings of this coleus, and I've got them in a vase. The nice thing when you take cuttings of coleus is you can arrange them like flowers in a vase and just leave them. Keep the water filled, and they'll root nicely in the vase, and you get to enjoy the flowers or the leaves as color. I did replace that boxwood, trimmed up these. Got rid of the dead and my ivies as well. It did a little better. At least this one did catch this year. Last year it just died out totally by winter. This one did a little better. And this one you can't kill. I've left all the runners on the ground because my plan is let them root like I did last year, and then next spring plant them at the base of those other two obelisks. And we'll try our luck one more time. My potager is putting on its winter show. Here you can see my, what's it called, butter crunch lettuce is doing well. Sage. And I planted some borage here, and I see a couple of us sprouted. I only put in like 4 or 5 little mounds. Looks like 3 of them caught. It takes only 2 months for borage to grow, so should be more than enough time before frost comes. My dill is still doing well. And it looks like I have a flower on my eggplant. And of course the kale. Oh, my 4 o'clocks are blooming. Why they're blooming this time of day, I don't know, but there they are. They kind of look a little like petunias. Of course, here's where I'm going to put the dark red snapdragons. What I may do, rather than ripping these up right now, the marigolds, you can see how the branches just keep breaking off. I keep staking them and tying them up, but what I'll do is interplant with the red snapdragons. And that way when the first frost comes, it'll kill all the marigolds, but leave the snapdragons. Those bananas need a little prune out, just to get rid of the dead. Now, if anyone was to do any fruiting at all, it would be this big one in the front, but I don't see a fruit stalk yet. The other thing I did this week was I went ahead and got tired of seeing the gaps in this gardenia hedge, so I went and bought some new gardenias. I got frostproof. I'm pretty sure that's what I had. The other gardenias, I used to have a border that ran all the way through the front yard, and even like where the monkey grass is here, it was all gardenias. Those were the days when you could get gardenias at the flea market for $2 a pot. Needless to say, the gardenias I bought this week were not $2 a pot. Here's the other two that I replaced. And I have to get one more on Monday, so I will put it in that gap. I was hoping there was one gardenia that was always smaller than the rest, and it was the one that was in this spot. And I was hoping to dig it out and just put it in that other gap over there where I yanked a dead one out. But when I dug it up, I noticed the roots were all gnarly, and it had some kind of a disease, which I guess is what kept it smaller than all the others. So rather than risk spreading that in the hedge, I just went ahead and tossed it out. My limelight hydrangea is just full of sprouts. It still doesn't look like much of a bush, but maybe next year. It did grow and it did bloom. It's the first time it's bloomed since I bought it. I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. I cleaned this area up a little bit, the central bed, trimmed off or broke off most of the offending Tradescantia, or wandering dude. I didn't want to get rid of all the flowers because that's what the bees like. But you can see what a thug it is over here. It will actually kill the monkey grass. That's one of those fights that to the death of two thuggish things, both the monkey grass and the Tradescantia, or spiderwort. But it will kill the monkey grass if I don't thin it back. Got a lot of buds on my yellow camellia, flower buds that is. And I see a lot of lower buds, at least, on this high fragrance. Can't wait for that camellia to bloom because it's the only one that I know of. I found out about it by going to a talk at our local botanical gardens a couple of years ago. And it's the only camellia that has a fragrance. And it has a fragrance very similar to hyacinths. It's a very, very sweet smell. This one has got some bud as well, so the camellias are looking good. Flowers to follow. This particular Encore azalea was terrible last year, and I cut it way back, and it has sprouted back. Never give up hope on plants. I see a lot of gardening programs where people buy a new home and they want to, make things look better. And you see a lot of people yanking plants out because they're overwhelming the house. And one thing to keep in mind is those roots are well established. If you just cut the plant back, it will grow back, and it'll grow back quickly because of the established roots. And it may surprise you how nice the plant looks for free. Of course, it will take a couple of years to do that. Actually, this is a good view of the Canary Island date palm from here. But that's about it for this week. I hope y'all get a chance to get outside today. It's beautifully cool here in my Zone 8B garden. Hopefully it's not too cold where y'all are from. But until next week, take care.